21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
My name is Heidi Luerra. I'm the founder and CEO of Raw Artists. We are based in Los Angeles, but have operated for over 12 years in 70 cities around the globe. Our mission is to provide tools, resources, exposure, and education for independent artists that are typically emerging, not signed to any major labels, not represented by any major galleries. And what makes us unique is we showcase all different types of art through these multifaceted pop-up showcase events. We have film, fashion shows, music, art, performing art, beauty artists, meaning hair and makeup, perhaps nail art, as well as handmade craft and technology artists. And we have done this, like I said, for 12 years all over the world in these one-night pop-up events. And then the pandemic happened. I started the organization because I was a young fashion designer from a small town in Northern California. Basically, I left that small town 3 months after high school graduation to start a clothing line in Los Angeles. And I found it nearly impossible to kind of market myself. I didn't know anyone, first of all, and social media back in 2003, 2004 was barely, existent.
It was very ambitious.
Yeah, we had MySpace, I think, back then, and people weren't really using it for promotional aspects. It was more to put butterflies on their page and tell everyone who their friends were. I tried to market my line, found it kind of difficult. And I had friends, as I always, new to LA, who were amazing visual artists and amazing musicians. And I just kind of felt like it was a travesty that there wasn't a platform for us to go showcase our work on. So I took matters into my own hands. I created a showcase when I was 20 years old. Yeah, I had.
What about your emotional maturity when you were 20 years old and did showcase?
I think that I've always been a precocious person, for sure. Obviously, I thought that it was fine that I would just walk into a venue in Los Angeles and host an event. So that says something, I guess. And I guess moving from my small town at the young age that I did says something too. But yeah, I was certainly young. I had a fake ID. I wasn't even technically allowed in the venue that I was hosting the event in. I have this weird thing where there's not much that scares me. I don't know if that's genetics or it's just kind of baked into my psyche from taking a lot of risks and being generally okay. But I was quite dumb when I was 20 because I gave away 50% of my company to a new boyfriend at the time.
Beautiful, very nice.
Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, you're helping me work on it, sure, but it was my concept and it was the name, and I drew the logo and I got all the people involved, and he was, I think, in charge, if I remember correctly, it was so long ago now, I think, of getting sponsors, and he kind of did that a little, but I don't think it was anything substantial. But I gave him 50% of the company, so that was a poor choice. And I ran that company for 3 years. You know, I was just naive. I was young.
So,
Being
dear audience,
generous.
first one that will send email to Heidi after the show will get 3.5% of her last business.
No, I've learned my lesson there.
Ah, okay.
I don't do that anymore. So yeah, I ran that for 3 years, and it was a show called Project Ethos. And
Okay.
it was a fashion, music, and art show in Hollywood. We grew it to a 2,500 person event. It was very glossy and red carpet, and celebrities attended, and we had buyers. But the most important thing was we were creating kind of this show that never existed in Hollywood before, that took these emerging artists that would have never had the opportunity and showcased them in a really grand light to important people that could maybe move the needle on their career. And that happened. People got signed, people got, they sold their art, people got picked up in galleries, people got picked up for runway shows and in boutiques. So it was working, and it was a really rewarding.
What's the feeling? What's the experience when somebody, when a person
walked into one?
Yeah.
Yeah, generally. So this is, I'm kind of going way back. This was my old showcase when I was very young. Raw. So fast forward, after that whole situation ended up blowing up. Not blowing up. I just made the choice to leave because of the environment. So I started Raw in 2009 in downtown Los Angeles, and I expanded it in the way of outside of just fashion, music, and art. I didn't want it to be glossy and red carpety and celebrity attended, because I felt like it took the focus off of the artist. So I made this more grassroots. And to remind the audience, we were just coming we were smack dab in the middle of the US recession, 2008, 2009. So I expanded it to many different creative genres, including performing art, hair, makeup, accessories, photography, etc. And so if you walked into one of our events, you would essentially see a pop-up art gallery. We typically do these in music venues, which is an alternative space for these types of things. You'd see a pop-up art gallery on the main floor, and then on the stage there might be 2 to 3 live music acts, followed by performing artists. Could be a fire eater, could be a contemporary dance troupe, could be a contortionist or something of that nature, or a spoken word poet. And then we kind of top off the night on the stage with a fashion show with 5 to 10 fashion designers, and they could be all different types, from swimwear to menswear to formal dresses. And all of the artists involved in this showcase are from the local community in which the showcase is taking place. So this is what I have been building for over 12 years, and I've been an entrepreneur ever since. And it's basically been a sustainable organization. It was a for-profit organization with a very altruistic mission. It was really difficult to do this because we kind of were disrupting the art industry in a weird way. We're democratizing independent artists, giving them a platform, again, in kind of a light that they wouldn't maybe normally be able to have access to. With the power of everyone coming together and the power of numbers, we were able to kind of showcase everybody, and they could cross-pollinate their networks and learn from each other and be inspired by each other. And so we kind of created this community all over the United States. And then we launched in Australia and Canada. We were in London for a period of time, got really close to launching in Tokyo, but didn't happen. And then most recently in 2018, the end of 2018, we launched in Mexico. And so we were providing this platform to all of these artists around the world, independent artists. And we also had an online community. And the way that we have been able to kind of grow as much as we did, and in such an organized fashion, was our technology. We built it from scratch for ourselves because it was so complicated. If you can imagine going to a concert, right? And all the different aspects of a concert, from ticketing to seating to concessions to merchandise to the stage to the lighting, and every set has a different, aspect to it. Now throw some fashion shows in there, throw some visual artists, throw some people that need vendor booths. It's a lot of logistics and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of communications. But that's also what made us unique. And so we didn't want to shed different genres of art just to make it easy on ourselves. We wanted to find tools to streamline the processes as much as possible behind the scenes to make it easy, and then allow other people to take these same processes and create their own showcases. So now fast forward to March 12th, 2020. It happened to be actually our 11th birthday as a company. That was the anniversary of the very first show that I had in downtown Los Angeles. And we were supposed to have a party with our employees. We had champagne, we had cake, we were featuring artists on our website, etc. And then obviously we were in for a rude awakening. We had to cancel everything, cancel several dates, and send 55 employees home with a furlough notice. And we had zero clue, that it was going to be what it was. I didn't even properly get to say goodbye to many of them, which was quite disheartening looking back, because we all thought this was a temporary situation, right? So this company that I had spent 11 years at that point building just crumbled in about the course of what felt like 72 hours. And then I spent the next 6 months dismantling it because I didn't know when the next time we could actually kind of come back would be.
Was that some kind of exit strategy, predefined one, or what? It was just...
No, not at all. Not at all. Most of my friends and family didn't really understand what was happening. Not a lot of people are in this industry, right? At least that I know. I certainly have friends in the industry and in events and music, etc. And they were understanding of like how insane this was and how deep this cut for our entire industry. But for the most part, my friends and family didn't really, I don't think, get it. I want, the audience or you perhaps to imagine you work on something every day for 11 years and you build it up and then it's just wiped out, right?
In 72 hours.
Yeah, for the greater good, whatever it might be, whatever the reason, we had to rethink everything. And there was no light at the end of the tunnel saying, okay, this is going to be over at a certain point. So because it was affecting my life so much, I did a lot of reading online. I looked at the World Health Organization documents, like internal things like how long does a pandemic last? What's included in that? How does this work? What is the timeline? And I quickly discovered that this was an 18-month process at minimum. And I was warning friends. I was like, guys, this is not 2 weeks to slow the spread. This is not even a month. This is going to be a very long time. And people thought I was a conspiracy theorist at one point. Now I think they maybe see that I was a little right about that. But it was just reading, normal things online. Like if anyone could look them up. I wasn't reading anything weird. So essentially, when I realized how long this was going to last, I was like, okay, we need to make, as the CEO of the company, I was like, we need to make some moves because we're not going to survive this if we keep our office and keep all of our employees on payroll, unfortunately, or, you know, X, Y, and Z running, because we had built this company to run with a certain amount of revenue and our revenue went to zero overnight. So we essentially took the next, I want to say 3 to 6 months and just kind of dismantled things, took, you know, moved out of our office, which was a really sad day, you know, had to negotiate out of contracts we had with vendors. That was extremely stressful because everyone's stressed because their businesses are all of businesses are impacted by other businesses. So it was just like this slap of the dominoes as we're going down the pike here. And trying to get our expenses down to an idly small fraction of what they were so that maybe we could ride this thing out. And that in itself was just a mountain of work and a mountain of emotion and a mountain of, you know, having to let go of my employees. And then we brought them back for a period of time with our PPP, and trying to manage everyone over Zoom was a nightmare. I don't know. Props to anyone who like managed to do that and had productivity, because we certainly, it was really difficult. And it's like, and I get it. It's like, how can you ask your employees to do their best work when they're in the middle of, you know, this crazy thing? Like, we were all going through it in our own way. And then we decided to, we knew that once the PPP kind of expired, it wasn't really meant for our industry, because we were certainly not like, you know, a 3-month pause situation and then we'd be back online and generating revenue. No, our bread and butter and the way that we'd made money for 11 years at that point was ticket sales to events, and events could not happen. It just could not. What could we pivot to? I don't know how to do a fashion show, a music show, an art show, and a vendor selling experience all on screen. And I kind of hypothesized that people would eventually be burnt out on that. And so I didn't want to spend my energy pivoting us to this huge virtual platform that would probably ultimately be moot at the end of this. So I decided to forego that, while many of our, you know, people in our same space went that direction, and God bless them for doing that. I just didn't have that energy. And I thought, no, we're going to wait this one out. Again, getting our expenses down to idle. So out of this came an interesting idea. We started looking at, well, what can we do with this time off? First, we took a very long nap, right? It was like we took a little bit of a breather. We tried to be there for our community. We helped our fashion designers helped make masks for local hospitals. We partnered with Joanne Fabric, and we got the word out as much as we could. We threw some podcasts on finances and how to budget and how to save throughout this time. We helped people get relief. We threw, with our last remaining resources with our team during the PPP period, we threw a fundraiser for artists across the US and Canada and Mexico, technically, where artists could pop up in their front lawn or from balconies or windows, whether they were, regardless of what creativity they brought to the table, and people could drive by, and we made an interactive map and they could donate to the artists. So we tried to be there for a community. And then once we completed that, we took our own rest, because it was, I think it was really important to do that. Because it was
just to listen to you.
It's exhausting, huh?
I'm trying to breathe.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. So then
Heidi,
yeah.
because I'm editing, you can just, take time out and drink.
Okay.
I mean, when you want to.
I think you might be the first person I've talked to about all of this in the full scope. So
that's good. That's good.
Probably.
That's the reason why the podcast is so successful. What about your personal transformation during the process?
My personal transformation, I think that I've always been a very ambitious person, and I started this company when I was 24. I'm now 36. I am recently a mom, right? So I decided that this would be a good time, if any, to start a family. I got a puppy. I moved to the suburbs. I got a house. I kind of did a complete about face. My personal transformation went from, I kind of exchanged this ambition for simplicity, and kind of just realizing I'm not a spring chicken anymore. And you know, having everything crumble is certainly an opportunity to build back and build back stronger, but also build back a company that I'm not a martyr to, because I spent most of my youth kind of bending over backwards, sacrificing everything I had, my time, sometimes my relationships, sometimes my health, my body, my well-being. And just my personal transformation through everything crumbling was really, I don't need to do that. Instead of building my lifestyle around my company, why don't I build my company around the lifestyle I want to have as we come back, right? And in the process, also be able to simplify what we have built and give it away to people. And I'll explain what that means. So I think earlier I was talking about our technology that we built to kind of streamline everything on the back end to run as much as we have. What we decided, and during our downtime, I kind of came back to what was important. And it was definitely, again, not being a martyr to my company, but also making sure that these art shows and everything that we had built would not be in vain, that people, because I know that artists still need the opportunity. I know that we have the know-how on how to bring that to fruition, and I know that we have all the tools. And so while I maybe didn't have the energy to rebuild it from scratch, because it's quite a bit, I know that other people are very interested in doing so. So out of all of this came the idea that we take our technology, we simplify it, and we create a licensing program. So people can now, right now, just in the United States, but in 2022, tail end of 2022 and 2023, we're going to be opening this up to international licensees. We basically continued to work the entire pandemic in silence. Didn't tell anyone what we were cooking. But we developed Platform by Raw Artists, which is exactly our software that we were already using and built for ourselves, because nothing else like it exists. And it consists of CRM, ticketing, full ticketing suite, from a mobile app check-in to ticket tracking per individual involved in the showcase. It has an educational tool that helps train people through the process of what they should be doing when in the production of their event, which is our secret sauce. And I'm taking all of my 20 some odd years of experience and I've baked it into the software so people can just have my knowledge. They can have it. It's organized. We've included templates and tools and documents and packets.
That's
and
what
different,
I call irresistible
different things of that nature. Thank you.
on your homepage. If you can explain a little bit to the audience, the system: become an artist, find a showcase, bring growth to your community.
So I'll start with become an artist. So Raw, again, has been an online and offline platform for over 12 years now. And if you were interested, if you do anything creative and you want to be seen and heard, you can apply to a showcase. The showcase director, or now licensee, will review your submission, and then they will decide whether or not you're a good fit based on where you are in your career, professionalism, etc., and invite you to participate. The cost to participate is each artist needs to sell 20 tickets. So it's a crowd-funded event. So it really, at the end of the day, costs you nothing if you are willing to do some self-promotion, which is an educational process for most artists in themselves, because a lot of artists are afraid to talk about themselves, and they need to, especially if they're going to remain independent artists, and especially in this day and age. So if that's the case, there's a whole educational aspect that goes on behind the scenes if you're accepted, where your showcase director guides you through the process, basically provides educational webinars leading up on how you can prepare. You have checklists, you have different things to get ready. And once you participate in the event, every licensee has chosen to give different value, but the value we provide typically there's professional photographers at every event that document the whole thing. We don't take a commission if you sell anything at the showcase. It's an amazing networking opportunity. You meet a lot of people in your community that are either artists themselves or into art. We've seen lots of collaborations come from our showcases. Let's see. You also,
where is the money,
in certain
Heidi?
locations,
in your business model, where is the money?
The money for Raw or for the artist?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I understand for the artist, but if we speak about your business model, you are very society-oriented, artist-oriented, you're supportive, etc. But for having sustainable business model, you probably have some kind of money generating.
Yeah, the tickets are the bread and butter of the organization, and that's how the money is made. So every artist that is put into a showcase, their commitment is to sell 20 tickets to the show. So we have anywhere from 50 to 80 artists per showcase, and that's where the money is generated. Then we have equipment and insurance and the venue, etc. But there's a nice margin there for someone who can be mobile and works from home, who doesn't need a large staff, who's talented in multitasking and doing lots of different things. And it's quite a rewarding and fun career, actually, for someone. So we have done this on this model earlier in our career, and I was young and hired a lot of people to do this on Craigslist, which was not the best idea, and some of them kind of ruined the brand in certain locations, and we were still recovering from that a decade later. So coming back to this model, where we basically say, okay, licensee in Croatia, for instance, you can buy a Croatian territory for a really low cost. You will essentially be given all the tools and resources you need to host this event. You will be in charge of selecting talent that you want to spotlight and showcase in your local location. It's all up to you. And all of the sales from the event, minus a royalty fee, goes to you directly. So you generate your own thing. We have a working model. It's worked for over 12 years. It's sustainable. It's profitable. It's even more profitable for an individual. We had an office with employees and a marketing team and human resources and, laptops and phones. That it was profitable with that. but it can certainly be even more profitable with an individual and running their own thing with the right person who is entrepreneurial and not afraid to, get their hands dirty and follow the recipe. We're essentially giving you the recipe and the tools. And we're making it extremely affordable to upstart. For instance, in the United States, all you need is $2,500 to start with us. And we are pricing it at a post-pandemic low. It won't be like this forever. The license is for 4 years, and you can use our trademark, our technology, all of our tools and resources are baked into that technology. And basically that the technology is really, and it's hard to explain without seeing it or being involved in the industry of arts events, but it really makes all of the difference in time saving, which means you can have multiple showcases a year, or, you can buy different territories. You can create a little empire here if you wanted to. So for someone who's interested in events, who's interested in arts, who is about, making profit, but for a good reason, an altruistic mission. It's a really great job and career. I did it for a long time, and I invented it, in fact, because I was a person with lots of interest, but also an entrepreneur, and also wanted to help others succeed. And I think that's the true testament to success, is when you can bring others up with you. And that's what Raw Artists has been about, for over a decade.
Any copycats?
Early on, yes. When we hired a bunch of people from Craigslist to do this, and we made it free. It was like, hey, you live in Philadelphia, why don't you come to this event? That was bad. Yeah, they tried for about a year or two. I think maybe one copycat survived a year. And then they all inevitably fold, because it's really difficult to do this and create trust in this industry, because artists are typically skeptical of anything that costs money. But we've been around for so long, and it's like, our show happens, we are there for you, we do help you through the process. It is a good experience for the majority of people. So yes, there were, to answer your question, a handful, and they never really amounted to much, because it's difficult to do it.
Organizational transformation. So from March 12th, when you had the 11th birthday, 55 employees, you sent home. What kind of organization we are talking about now, comparing to one that was just a year ago?
Yeah, like we have 4 employees now, and we all work from home. We all live in different areas. We are heavily tech focused now. So it is a new frontier for me to manage a lot of contractors and things in this nature in that industry. I went but somehow through the last decade, having to build this technology and tools that we needed, I learned to kind of communicate with developers, because I needed to. So I surprisingly know a lot about this stuff without being a coder myself. I at least know how to communicate my ideas and what I want to see. And I also, as a layman, I think have the benefit of looking at something on a screen and being like, that's confusing, that button shouldn't be there, etc. So I'm essentially now designing our software. The software is complete. It's being used right now. We actually have our first showcase in Tampa Bay by a licensee next month. which
Congrats.
I'm super excited to see. It's very weird to see, I follow the licensee on social media and I just see, our Raw logo pop up with all of her artists. And I'm like, wow, I had zero to do with that event. It's such a weird feeling because I'm so used to knowing everything that's going on in my organization of people. But so now we're here and we've basically I'm giving my knowledge to the people. I feel like, it's like a mandala. I spend so much time intricately making, and I'm just gifting it out. And I hope people do really wonderful things with it. So yeah, it's quite exciting. And I am now, our operation has shifted to not making the mandala anymore. It's essentially building the tools and building them better and more efficient so that people can take this and run with it. We're also going to come out with a white label product for this in 2022. We're hoping summer, fall 2022 for venues and different people in the industry that manage creative talent for their spaces and events, to use our technology and showcase through what we've built. And there's already a ton of interest for it because there are certainly ticket companies, there are CRM companies, there are educational tools, but no one really marries all of those things together in one place. And we have applied that to our own business. So we're not these people taking a stab in the dark on what is needed. We've done it and we've used it, and our 55 employees have used it and given us tons of feedback on all the things that could be better or different. And so you could say it's been in, the making for 12 years. So now we're releasing. It's called Platform by Raw Artists, and people can find it on rawartist.com/platform. If they're interested in the United States to purchase a license, we have several still available. Major metropolitan cities will cost around $10,000 over the course of 4 years, but you can start, again, very nominal fee of $2,500. So it's $2,500 a year. For 4 years, plus a royalty per ticket that you sell. We also have some other pricing models that make it, if you have a lot of expendable cash, you can buy more, you can purchase the license fee up front and your royalty fee will be smaller, etc. But again, people can use our trademark, they can use our technology, and they have all of the access to our secret sauce and educational tools to build a little business for themselves. They can also name their event if they want to not be Raw. They can name it something else. That's also another option. So yeah, we're quite excited about it.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.